Hotel em Chicago, muito bom. São duas camas de casal, Travelodge na Avenida Harrison. E hoje vamos ver um concerto de $1.
Hein?
Vou correr no lago.
Quando agora?
Sim.
Tu é doido, né?
Agora?
Yes.
Ixi, Maria.
Agora eu vou fazer como eu fazia com as meninas quando elas eram pequenas. De noite, 11 horas da noite, aquela chuva. E a minha mamãe, você deixa de tomar banho de chuva? Eu digo, olha, não me obriga a tomar.
Posso fazer o que quiser, né?
Vocês podem tomar o banho de chuva que quiser.
Lindo, né? Corre lá em cima aqui, ó. Corre lá em cima. Olha, brasileiro! Saca pode! Onde hoje? Eu? Recife. Bora aqui, não? Tudo bom? Tira foto, pai.
Não, mas você viajou para
Ups, desculpa. Pra onde vão?
Tá? Todos.
Tirei.
Todos embaixo.
Some of the renderings he had for Riverwalk ideas. The Big Sheraton Hotel was another Solomon Cordwell Benz design that opened in '96, and it takes full use of the river with all of its public rooms fronting on the river itself. The district, or the neighborhood rather, in this part of town is largely residential, and you can see various condominium buildings here. This first one is one from the early 90s. Gallup Foran is the architects there. And in the distance, the one with the curving wall and the exagerated cornice at the top is a De Stefano design for condominiums that opened in well, actually earlier in 2002, thereabouts. It was done in phases. The neighborhood's tied together by this fountain. It's kind of a centerpiece, if you will. It's called the Nicholas J. Mellis Centennial Fountain, and it commemorates and symbolizes the joining of those two great water systems I mentioned before, that of the Great Lakes with that of the Mississippi River Basin. It's a Dirk Lohan design also, and it's got a little display underneath the fountain that you can visit that shows you the history of this waterway and how it all was put together. Now, I know there's probably some of you on this tour who, like myself, because obviously I love architecture, I'm just fascinated by it, and there's some of you here that I'm sure have heard about a project that's under construction here in Chicago. It's called the Chicago Spire. And the Chicago Spire is a design by an architect named Santiago Calatrava. And when it's finished, it will be one of the tallest buildings in the world. Certainly the tallest in Chicago. And on your left, where those cranes are and some of those formwork is, that's the location for the Chicago Spire. It's going to be 150 stories tall, 2,000 feet, residential building. It's in the shape of a twisting spire with a curved top. That's east of Lakeshore Drive. That's Lake Point Tower, now condominiums, Lake Point Tower condominiums. It opened in 1969. It was designed by Shipwright and Heinrich, two young architects who had been students of Mies van der Rohe. I think that's apparent in the way it looks. No historic ornament, steel and glass facade, simple geometric shape, although in this case a very graceful curving form, but all those elements of modernism that Mies van der Rohe taught his students. This area directly next to us with the wall is Dusabel Park, that is the staging area for the spire, but will eventually become a park for the city. In the distance on your left you see Navy Pier. Navy Pier, many of you may have been there already. It's a wonderful place to visit for rides, games with the kids, lots of activities out there, the IMAX Theater, the Shakespeare Theater, and so on. But the early vision for Navy Pier was that of a working industrial pier. Remember I told you how crowded the river was with boat traffic? They really wanted to alleviate that, so Charles Frost designed this pier. It was called Municipal Pier, and it opened in 1916. But like a lot of good ideas, it was a little late to fruition, because by then the railroads were really supplanting the barge traffic and the river traffic. So it never really was used to its full potential. It went through a variety of uses, including being a naval aviators training station during World War II. And in fact, George Bush, the first president, was trained